this is Angela from Natural Living Alchemy. Welcome to my channel. Now in today's video, we are going to be starting a new series that I am calling Stock the Pantry. Now I will be doing a couple of videos back to back in this series, and then later on I'm just going to be adding things basically as I run out and need to restock them in my own house. Hopefully that works out in the same time you need to restock yours, but we'll see. So our first recipe that I'm going to be sharing in this series is a bouillon powder. Now I personally use this one when a recipe calls for chicken bouillon, but since it doesn't actually contain any chicken, we're just going to call it bouillon powder. Before I share this recipe with you, I do want to talk a little bit about the main ingredient in this recipe. Now it is considered by some to be a superfood, and this is due to its nutrient profile, high levels of protein, B vitamins, and antioxidants, and all of that can help support energy levels and even your immune system. And this ingredient is nutritional yeast. Nutritional yeast is actually the deactivated form of yeast, and it is often used in vegan cooking, and it has a slightly cheesy flavor as well as many nutritional benefits. Nutritional yeast is considered to be a cousin to brewer's yeast or baker's yeast. Now, brewer's yeast and baker's yeast are made with the same strain of yeast, except nutritional yeast is deactivated. Nutritional yeast is free of gluten, soy, as well as sugar, and it contains all 9 essential amino acids, and therefore it does make it a complete protein. And these are the proteins that actually assist the bodily functions such as tissue repair, nutrient absorption, and possibly the prevention of muscle loss. You will be able to find nutritional yeast in 2 forms. First, we have the fortified one, and that contains additional B9, B12, as well as other vitamins and minerals that the body can easily absorb. And this fortifies the product and makes it more nutritional. You can also find it in unfortified nutritional yeast, and this contains only the natural vitamins of B1, B2, and B6, and its natural mineral content of potassium and zinc, with no additional vitamins or minerals being added. I have certainly noticed, though, a lot of the ones in the grocery stores, and at least the stores I frequent in my city, they all seem to be the fortified nutritional yeast. But again, either will work depending on what you can find and what you prefer. A 2 tablespoon serving of nutritional yeast will have 50 calories, 5 grams of protein, 3 grams of carbohydrates, 2 grams of fiber, and 0 grams of fat and sugar. Now, to make this, what you are going to require is a couple different pieces of equipment as usual. So you're going to need a jar to store everything in. I like canning funnels. It just makes things a lot easier to put into the jar so we don't make a mess everywhere. You'll need a tablespoon and a teaspoon for measuring all of our spices that I have. You'll need a whisk. This is actually a Danish bread whisk that I got from a kit off of Amazon. I didn't realize how tiny the handle was. While I can't really use this to make bread, it does work really, really well as just a regular whisk when stirring things like this together. And you're also going to need a mixing bowl. Now, optional here would be a mortar and pestle as well as a herb or spice grinder. You might prefer to take all of your herbs, put them through the grinder or the mortar and pestle just so that they're all approximately the same size. I personally don't mind some of the bigger pieces in it, but that's mine. It's really going to depend on what you prefer. Now, just keep in mind that you want to make sure if you're using a mortar and pestle or if you're using a herb or spice grinder that you have one dedicated to things that you're going to be consuming. So I have another bigger mortar and pestle that I used to like using for herbs. Well, I went ahead and crushed a bunch of menthol crystals in it, and now I can't actually use it for food items. So just make sure that you do have ones dedicated to each thing so that we don't end up cross-contaminating stuff. All right, so to mix all of this together, what you're going to do in a just clean large bowl is you're going to start by adding 2 cups of nutritional yeast. Now, again, if you wanted to, you could crush this up in either of these 2 things to make the flakes smaller, but I really don't mind the size that they come in. And I do have 2 cups measured out in this jar. All right, so next to that, we are going to add some sea salt, and you are going to require 4 tablespoons of sea salt. Now, if you wanted to leave this as a salt-free blend, just don't put the salt in. Next, we are going to add 4 tablespoons of onion powder. Next, we are going to add 2 tablespoons of parsley flakes, dried. Two tablespoons of dried dill weed. Then we are going to need 3 teaspoons of garlic powder. Next, we are going to need 2 teaspoons of ground turmeric. Two teaspoons of dried basil. And lastly, we are going to require 2 teaspoons of celery seed. Once you have everything in your bowl, you are just going to take your whisk and you're just going to stir until everything is thoroughly mixed in. Perfect. And then once everything is just nicely mixed together, you're just going to put everything in an airtight container. Your bouillon powder is going to have a shelf life of about 6 months just in your airtight container. Now, what I do like to do, because I do have spices of different sizes in here, is I just like to give the jar a bit of a shake before I scoop out what I am needing. But you are going to use 1 tablespoon of this powder to replace each 1 store-bought bouillon cube. We have now reached the notes and substitutions portion of the video where I share additional notes and maybe some substitutions you might want to consider. So you can adjust any of these ingredients accordingly to meet your preferences. The only thing that I would leave alone is the nutritional yeast itself, as it does make up a large portion of this recipe. You can omit the salt if you want a salt-free version. Now, like anything else, there are some potential risks when it comes to using nutritional yeast, because if you have certain underlying conditions, you're going to want to talk to your healthcare team, not just listen to somebody on YouTube, whether this is actually a good ingredient for you to add into your diet. If you experience frequent migraines, you might want to avoid nutritional yeast. This is because it contains an amino acid, triamine, and that can help regulate blood pressure. However, triamine may trigger headaches as well. If you have any allergies to yeast products, you would want to avoid nutritional yeast. Even if it is deactivated, you still don't want to be ingesting it with a yeast allergy. And nutritional yeast might also worsen IBS, ulcerative colitis, or Crohn's disease symptoms. So if you have any of those things, just take it into consideration if nutritional yeast is something that would benefit you or hinder you. If you have any other digestive issues, nutritional yeast is a source of fiber. And this is because a 2 tablespoon serving does contain about 20% of our daily recommended intake. So what I'm going to suggest is to start slowly. If nutritional yeast is a new ingredient to you, increasing your fiber consumption too quickly might cause some discomfort if you have some pre-existing digestive issues. Nutritional yeast is not recommended if you are using medications to treat diabetes. And the triamine amino acid may interact with certain medications that are used to treat depression, pain-relieving narcotics, as well as antifungal medications. And lastly, I am going to suggest that you avoid nutritional yeast altogether if you have glaucoma or high blood pressure, as nutritional yeast might make those symptoms worse as well. So why don't you go ahead and comment down below. Let me know what other Stock the Pantry recipes would you be interested in learning how to make. I would love to hear about it, and chances are I'm probably going to want to make it anyways. Don't forget to hit the like button if you've liked this video, or share it with anyone else who you think might enjoy it. Consider subscribing to the channel so that we can spend more time together and that you don't miss future videos. But I just want to say thanks for stopping by today, and I will see you next time.